for joining us for today's event. Before we dive into today's topic, I want to provide you a quick overview on Evolving Solutions. Evolving Solutions is a technology solutions provider that helps clients modernize and automate their mission-critical applications and infrastructure to support business transformation. Our business is client-centric consulting and delivery of technical solutions to enable modern operations in a hybrid cloud world. We have deep partner relationships, like the one you'll see today with Nutanix, that help us deliver exceptional results to service our clients' technology needs. So Dennis, can you share a quick overview of Nutanix for our audience?
Sure, you bet. Are we on the next slide? Yes, there we go. Perfect. So thanks everybody for joining. Again, my name is Dennis Arnold. I'm a senior channel SC with Nutanix. I've been here for about 4 years. And, you know, I'm lucky in that I get to work with awesome partners. Evolving is a fantastic partner. And, I kind of love coming in and talking to partners and customers and doing all sorts of an enablement stuff. I'm a technical person. So if I get too technical, let me know. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think we'll get too technical today. But as you think of questions that you might have, more technical or less technical questions, you can put those in the chat and we'll try to get to those either in real time or after the fact. So on the slide right here, this is actually something new. And if you're not already familiar with Nutanix, this won't be new to you, of course. But what we've done at Nutanix is we've taken our what used to be AOS and AHV and all these various different things with different names, and we've combined them into these 2 pillars. These 2 pillars that we have form a single Nutanix cloud platform. Okay, and this Nutanix cloud platform provides customers with everything they need to support all of their workloads across multiple clouds. Now, those 2 pillars are NCP or Nutanix Cloud or Nutanix, sorry, the Nutanix Cloud Platform. I already mentioned that. It has the 2 pillars, the NCI pillar, Nutanix Cloud Infrastructure, and the Nutanix Cloud Manager. Okay. Now, the NCI is a complete software stack that includes storage, compute, virtualization, networking, security, integrated disaster recovery, all of these great things so that our customers can easily build their cloud-like infrastructure foundation without having to piece together a bunch of individual siloed components. Now, the other key pillar is Nutanix Cloud Manager or NCM. And this encompasses all of the operations, automation, governance, and self-service capabilities that are necessary for managing that on-prem or public or hybrid cloud. Now, the 3 main services that we can then add to these pillars are Nutanix Unified Storage, Nutanix Database Services, and Nutanix Desktop Services, which are very solution-specific, very solution-focused, right? Now, all of these things are built with a common set of tools, okay? That includes a unified control plane, APIs for ease of automation, even with existing or internal or external applications. Security is built in at all levels. And last but not least, we very much strive to provide customers choice of deployment, right? So this can be deployed whether it's in your own location, on whether it's some leading hardware platform, there's a number of choices there, and a service provider data center, or deployed in public cloud. Now, that leads us to the next question, right? Or the first question, I should say, which is why hybrid cloud? Why is hybrid cloud value? Why is it important? I'm going to turn over to Jim for a second to lead us into this discussion.
Yeah, thanks, Dennis. So as we talk about hybrid cloud, obviously the question comes up, why? Why are companies doing hybrid cloud, or why are they transitioning to hybrid cloud? So Dennis, what are some of the things that you're seeing on why hybrid cloud?
Yeah, so when we often start with the question why, right? It's very common. So there were really three main pillars of digital transformation that many organizations say matter the most, right? And those are pillars that are also driven by IT, or that can be driven by IT. Those things include revenue growth, customer experience, and employee experience. If those things aren't going the right direction, right, everybody feels it. And in a recent survey, we found that most IT leaders do believe that hybrid cloud is the preferred operating model for IT. And currently, about 81% of public cloud users are using more than one cloud, hence the importance of multi-cloud and hybrid cloud. But remember that it's not all just a public cloud world or a private cloud world. We need to be able to combine these things into multi-cloud and hybrid cloud. So during this discussion, we're going to identify some of the more noteworthy hybrid cloud challenges and how we solve them, as well as the elements that are required for hybrid cloud. And so we'll talk about those elements next.
Yeah, so before we go into those elements, Dennis, you mentioned here as we look at the why the hybrid cloud world, we have the best of all the cloud worlds. So we'll talk about that later on. But one of the key things that I kind of really see a why is the flexibility, is the agility, is the elasticity of a hybrid cloud. I mean, I think of it like we have our on-prem infrastructure. We have a majority of most customers, most of their applications are on-prem. But then there's that public cloud out there. It's like another data center, just full of resources, full of services for your applications, for your business to complement your applications and your business transformation. So we'll talk about that as we go into that flexibility, that ability to, go and get more storage, get more compute, as your applications need to transform for your business needs.
Yeah, without a doubt. And so as we get into the elements and we start talking about those things, there are a number of elements. We're just going to touch on a few of those. But one of the really big ones is a standardized framework that allows for this simplified management, the intelligent automation that Jim mentioned, and machine learning, right? So where we begin this journey oftentimes is with a modern infrastructure. And that modern infrastructure is what provides us with the management, the intelligence, the machine learning that works for the business, right? So Nutanix calls this the Nutanix cloud infrastructure, as I mentioned, right? It's one of our pillars. But by starting with this solid framework, we create this IT model that lends itself to resilience, to predictable performance. It has the ability to scale rapidly. And in fact, we should expect the system to let us know when it's time to scale up, and even allow the system to do this automatically, right? So this is what we mean when we combine, or one of the things we mean when we combine machine learning with automation. We use machine learning to do capacity planning, security, self-healing. Of course, we can't let Skynet get completely out of hand, right? So we've got to incorporate checkpoints and approvals. We saw that on Terminator, right? And very importantly, without letting Skynet get out of control, we have to have cost governance that allows us to keep cloud spend under control. That's one of the big ones, right? Because we all know that cloud is expensive and it can get out of hand very quickly.
Go ahead, Dennis, as we talk about the standardized framework, this ability is for automation, this intelligent automation. I mean, this going to a hybrid cloud is you automate your applications and your infrastructure on your on-premises or your private cloud. As you go to a public cloud, that totally changes, right? I mean, that could look totally different if you don't standardize. There's different APIs for AWS, different APIs for Azure, and so forth. So standardizing on a framework really allows for the business to get more of a standard look and feel for their automation process, for their management process, and so forth.
Yeah, without a doubt. And another thing I want to mention is that you know, multi-purpose data storage with analytics and insight is super important, because not all data is created equal, right? I mean, you're going to have data in the cloud, you're going to have data on-prem, you're going to have data all over the place. And that data needs to be tiered in an intelligent way so you know what that data is doing, right?
Yep.
And for that reason, you need data analytics, data about your data. And that's also a key aspect to data security. Now, we're going to talk more about data security as we move on, but the data security aspect is very important, and the tiering of data is important. You don't want hot data in a cold tier. You don't want cold data in a hot tier, right? It doesn't work from a cost perspective. So do keep that in mind, is that there's an entire data story around here. I mean, around that. Now, also, the last thing I want to point out about this is that the cloud doesn't automatically back up your infrastructure, right? Some people think that it does, but it doesn't, right? It's not like cloud backing up your phone. You've got to have a plan for business continuity still. You've got to have a plan for DR, and you got to have a plan for backups. So do keep that in mind. And that kind of leads us into what might be some of the operational challenges as it relates to hybrid cloud.
Yes, right here, some of these challenges, as we were talking about these elements, the design and so forth of a hybrid cloud, it isn't quite that simple, right? It's not that simple. There are some operational challenges that we have to consider. So some of these things are, one of the major ones is automation. We touched on it briefly before. We have to have an automation process that not only works in the public cloud, but also has to work in your private cloud throughout the whole infrastructure together.
Right, exactly. You know, we spent some time talking about the why of hybrid cloud, and we've talked about the what of hybrid cloud. So, you know, we as Jim introduced, we have a number of challenges, and those are listed here in the bullet points. But keep in mind that public cloud can represent yet another IT silo that requires a whole additional skill set and potentially additional staffing, right? Which, of course, as you know, is hard to find these days. It's hard to find people to do this work. So we've got to have people who are able to do a number of things. And besides that, modernization isn't about creating new IT silos. We don't just keep creating more and more IT silos. It's about breaking them down. It's about simplifying. There's a term for this that I coined. It's my term, but I'm going to let you borrow it. It's called decomplexification, right? It's just a word that I made up, where you break down those silos, you drive simplicity. Okay. But you know, when you think about this, you know, what if you could extend your on-prem cloud management to the public cloud, right? So you're not creating a silo, you're extending management that you already know, right? At Nutanix, we have this common management.
Yeah, so Dennis, I mean, that's one of,
and we call it Prism. Go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's one of the values I really see with. So, like you'd explain more, like, you know, that you have management and you have provisioning, you have automation. I mean, the Nutanix has a framework that allows that process. I think they do it very well. So can you explain a little bit, like, how does Nutanix framework or solution allow us to not only provision and have our applications running on an on-prem data center, but also get our public cloud ready for maybe a DR, you know, site. We want to get our applications and everything switched over to a data center in the public cloud that's ready, or not just for DR purposes, but also for that agility or that flexibility of, hey, I got to spin up some additional apps that are running in the public cloud because I need more resources.
Yeah. So, and that ties into machine learning and ties into automation. In fact, those components are part of that pillar of Nutanix cloud management, right? There's a couple of solutions in there that allow us to do that. So, you have an environment in the cloud where it's unlimited, right? Unlimited storage, unlimited compute. And you need to be able to have the ability for a system to get more when it needs more. So imagine a scenario when something is slow in the environment. Like historically we have users start complaining that something is slow, the environment is slow. Well, what's slow? We don't know. Is it the network? Is it the storage? Is it servers? Well, what if the system could intelligently analyze what's slow and fix it for you, right? And so we use Nutanix Cloud Manager and a component called Crossplay, which gives us machine learning to take those instances, take those triggers, if you will, and expand infrastructure as required. Now, because the cloud is unlimited, more or less, for most of us, or at least in our minds, it's unlimited, we have to consider cost governance, right? So that's one of the things here. We can't just let that go crazy. And so this system that we have, that this piece of Nutanix Cloud Manager allows us to intelligently choose the right cloud at the right time, at the right cost for the specific workload or application that needs it.
Good. So as we discussed here in this hybrid cloud environment, our framework and infrastructure, just as an on-prem, is now expanding into the public cloud. There is security, right? So how do we address these security concerns?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jim. I mean, security is a huge issue, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
And security has always been a huge part of the Nutanix value, right? We start with this platform security so that our operating system, AOS, and our hypervisor, AHV, which is included with NCI, by the way, are secure by design. And we've implemented automated security and management. Okay, so instead of giving customers a 200-page document with a bunch of things we got to go through to check off for security, we do that automatically, and we continue to recheck that as time goes on, right? Now, we take that platform security a step further with data encryption. Those are table stakes, right? Mm-hmm. Again, included with NCI. And we think security should be part of the solution, not some series of bolt-ons after the fact. So we have Nutanix Flow, which again is integrated with Nutanix Cloud Infrastructure. Flow provides us with a number of great things to really, really complement our security story. For instance, it provides us with microsegmentation. Right. If you're not familiar with that, it's this super easy way of categorizing virtual machines, visualizing traffic flows, and then assigning policies to virtual machine categories. So no matter where a VM goes, right, because this is hybrid cloud, it's multi-cloud, workloads are moving around, the security policy goes with the VM. It goes with the workload. And all of that gets monitored through Security Central, which also extends to Nutanix Cloud Manager in the form of analyzing public cloud security and compliance, literally with one-click remediation, right? So it's a very comprehensive, a very complete story.
Cool. So as we close, we'll summarize some of these key considerations here. As we summarize, one platform for a hybrid cloud, a framework that supports traditional cloud native applications, and automation and orchestration between clouds. I mean, to me, if you start looking and you summarize these main bullet points that we discussed here just recently, I mean, I think the Nutanix solution is one that offers all these key items to our customers, to their business, to allow them to take that next step and actually transition from an on-prem environment into a hybrid cloud world. So Dennis, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I can't overemphasize the idea that we can't take old legacy infrastructure and then just bolt on cloud and call it a hybrid, right?
Right.
It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't lend itself to that, because all we're doing when we do that, we're just creating another silo. We've got to start with modern infrastructure. We've got to start with modern cloud management, right? And this sets the foundation that provides or supports both traditional and cloud native applications and workloads, right? It gives us the ability to apply these elements of hybrid cloud, such as automation, orchestration, simplified management, end-to-end security, and so much more. This gets your IT model working for you and generating positive business outcomes, right? So, like I said, make it work for you. Don't set it up so that you're working for it. Like, create business outcomes with IT. And speaking of business outcomes and speaking of work, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to work on this chocolate.
Yes. Yeah. So let's get to work. That's one of Evolving Solutions slogans. And right now, I mean, at this point, it's time to get to work to some chocolate tasting. So how about it? Is everybody ready for some chocolate tasting? I know I am. So we'll transition back to Kelly for our next part. Chocolate.
Great, and thank you, Jim and Dennis. Really appreciate you sharing these insights. If you have any additional questions that we did not cover, or if you'd like a follow-up discussion with the Evolving Solutions and Nutanix team, please reach out to your Evolving Solutions account executive or send an email to info@evolvingsol.com, and we'll schedule time to talk.